Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir. So this is Group 6 color or Group Purple. So we have week 13 title Evolution of the Philippine Constitution. So I'm gonna do the first reporting. And before we start, we're gonna have the terms to ponder. So first is we have autonomy. Oh, anyway, I'm sorry. I forgot to kanang paila-ila akong mga kauban. So we do have Rosana and Charilo, and this is Burnett, yes. And we also have Gigi. So first is autonomy, self-government or the right of self-government, self-determination. The definition of autonomy is independence in one's thoughts or actions. A young adult from a strict household who is now living on her own for the first time is an example of someone experiencing autonomy. So number two is constitutional convention. A constitutional convention is a gathering for the purpose of writing a new constitution or revising an existing constitution. Members of a constitutional convention, which is we call delegates, are often thought, though not necessary or entirely, elected by popular vote. So number three is bicameral Congress. Yeah, it's a system in the U.S. consists of the House of Representatives and the Senate, collectively known as Congress. Article 1, Section 1 of the U.S. Constitution establishes the Congress consisting of the Senate and House of Representatives. So number four is amendment. So amendment is a change, addition, or rephrasing of something, most often with the intention of improvement. An example of that is an amendment are the changes made to U.S. Constitution. Number five, how do we pronounce this? Plebiscite? Is it plebiscite? Yeah, a vote by which the people of an entire country or district express an uh, opinion for or against a proposal, especially on a choice of government or ruler. So let's continue with our topic. So first is June 12, 1898. So this date is when Philippines has had a total of 6 constitutions since the proclamation of independence. So Malolos Constitution is actually the first Philippine constitution. It's also a first Republican constitution in Asia, and also was drafted and adopted by the First Philippine Republic, by which lasted from 1899 to 1901. Okay, so next page. All right, so during the American occupation, the Philippines was governed by the laws of the United States of America. So we do have here Philippine Organic Act. So one is Organic Act of 1902, provided for a Philippine assembly composed of Philippine or Filipino citizens. Number two, Philippine Autonomy Act of 1916. It is the first pledge of the Philippine independence. These laws serve as a constitutions of the Philippines from 1902 to 1935. So medyo taas-taas siya, guys. So next is year 1934. So the United States Congress passed the Philippine Independence Act. So ito pala yung year na yon. The act mandated the Philippine legislature to call for an election of delegates to a constitutional convention to draft a constitution for the Philippines. So, noong February 8, 1935, the 1934 Constitutional Convention finished its work. And March 25, 1935, the Constitution was submitted to President of the United States for certification. It was in accordance with the Philippine Independence Act of 1934. So May 14, 1935. So the 1935 Constitution was ratified by the Filipino people through a national plebiscite. November 15, 1935 came into full force and effect with the inauguration of the Commonwealth of the Philippines. July 4, 1946. July 4. Oh, et, July 4 yan yung ano no? Kanang sa US nga ilahang Independence Day, July 4, 4th of July. So among its provision, it was that it would remain the Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines once independence was granted. 1940. So this year, the 1935 Constitution was amended by National Assembly of the Philippines. So next. Let me know guys sa kung kamo na po sunod. Okay. So the legislature was changed from a unicameral assembly to a bicameral Congress. So the amendment also changed the term of the President of the Philippines from 6 years with no re-election to 4 years with a possibility of being re-elected for a second term. So Japanese. During World War II, they sponsored government nullified the 1935 Constitution and appointed preparatory committee on Philippine independence to replace it. So the 1943 Constitution was used by the Second Republic with Jose P. Laurel as president. Okay. All right, so let's go back to years. 1945. So this year is the 1935 Constitution came back into effect. So ibalik na pud siya kay earlier, di ba nahuman na to siya karon ibalik na pud siya. So sa year na pud 1947, the Constitution remained unaltered until this year when the Philippines Congress called for its amendments through Commonwealth Act number 700 or 733. March 11, 1947. The party or the parity? Is it parity? Amendment gave United States citizens equal rights with Filipino citizens to develop natural resources in the country and operate public utilities. September 23, 1972. The Constitution thereafter remained the same until the declaration of martial law. So, wow, ito na yung martial law. So, December 1, 1972. Finished their work and submitted it to President Marcos. In January of 1973, President Marcos submitted it for ratification. All right.
Nick mentioned the recipe of Nickname and in his dignity opinion in the end of the Elena is the Italian. Before now, wrote that happened knowing that it is that lovely recognition of the 1973 Constitution on January 10 to 16, 1973, the one that then was means that at parents recognition of the Constitution was found to feel. So the Bible is known with the introductory number in 1922, raising the national place to ratify the newly drafted constitutional amendment of people people vote, vote,
Vote.
vote, vote in place of secret ballot. The vote is not no. When democracy was installed in 1986, the president was not no. In the proclamation number 3, the 1919 provision of the 1923 Constitution and revolution in it as transitory constitution. The motto. The motto is Rajon Aquino
Ah, sorry. Okay, next.
the 1987 Constitution finally came into force and effect that same even to president. No other civilian officials and members of the armed forces wearing allegiance to the new United No, no American. The President of Inu, 1909 Proclamation number 9 in 1983. We created an original convention that reiterated a new charter to replace the 1973 Constitution. However, the final decision of this one that the decision of the 1973 Constitution was valid and was enforced.
Okay. Commemoration of Constitution Day. For every constitutional change in the Philippines has experienced, corresponding proclamation was issued in order to celebrate the date that each charter was put into full force and effect, with the exemption the 1943 Constitution. A year later, President Manuel L. Quezon issued Proclamation number 36 is 1936, declaring the 8th of February of every year as Constitution Day to commemorate the completion of the 1934 Constitutional Convention task. Next page. When the United States Congress authorized the creation of Constitution for the Philippines in accordance with the I don't know how to ano ni. Tidings-McDuffie Act of 1934, a constitutional convention was established to draft a charter for the Philippines, and it finished its work on February 8, 1935. In the proclamation, President Aguinaldo ordered the release of Spanish prisoners under the custody of the Philippines Revolutionary Forces to mark the inauguration of the first Philippine Republic. President Emilio Aguinaldo issued the first proclamation that celebrated the effectiveness of a constitution in 1999, January 23, 1899. So si Aguinaldo ang nag-issue sa first proclamation nga celebrate sa January 23, 1999. On the inauguration of the Commonwealth of the Philippines on November 15, 1933, the new charter came into full force and effect. The Constitution Day was commemorated until the end of President Marcos' term, but was overshadowed by the proclamation making September 21st of every year Thanksgiving Day. The date indicated on Presidential Proclamation number 1081 is 1972. Martial law, however, was actually declared 2 days later when President Marcos announced it through nationwide television. When democracy was restored in 1986, the 1973 Constitution was replaced by First Freedom Constitution, also known as the Proclamation Number 3, 1986. Then our current Constitution, the 1987 Constitution. In commemoration, President Marcos repealed President Quezon Proclamation Number 36. In 1936, by virtue of Proclamation Number 1219 S. 1973, which moved Constitution Day from February 8 to January 17 of every year. After the ratification of the 1987 Constitution, President Aquino issued Proclamation Number 211S 1988, which moved the commemoration of Constitution Day from January 17 to February 2 of every year, a proclamation still in effect to this day. So, gimove sa February 2 ang the day na gina-celebrate in January 17.
So, good morning everyone. My name is Ligaboran Sedanyo. My part for this report is topic about the Philippine Revolution, the Biak na Bato Republic of 1897. So, with almost all of Cavite in hands of the Spaniards, Governor General Primo de Rivera issued another decree extending the benefit of his pardon beyond May 17, 1897. So, ang purpose niya diri was to win the Filipinos to his policy of attraction. A few took advantage of the governor's decree, while the rest continued with their resistance against the enemy. So, next page is Aguinaldo, meanwhile, was in Talisay, Batangas. So, while si Governor General Primo de Rivera was in Biak na Bato, Aguinaldo, meanwhile, was in Talisay, Batangas, where nag-establish siya og iyahang headquarters. The enemy surrounded the area in the hopes of capturing him. So, nagplano sila nga dakpon si Aguinaldo, pero Aguinaldo was slipped through with his men. So, let's continue. So, news of Aguinaldo arrival at Biak na Bato reached the town of Central Luzon. So, as a consequence sa katong failure sa army sa mga Spaniards, naka-slip through si Aguinaldo. As a result, the armed men from Pangasinan, Zambales, and the Ilocos provinces, Tarlac and Nueva Ecija, renewed their armed resistance against the enemy. So, instead nga matake advantage nila nga ilahang tangdakpon si Aguinaldo, but because of their failure, ni taas no ng kanang moral sa ilahang mga soldiers sa pag-abot ni Aguinaldo sa Biak na Bato. So, from Biak na Bato, Aguinaldo and his men joined forces with those of General Mariano Llanera of Nueva Ecija. So, nag-join force sila para i-harass ang mga Spanish soldiers. So, continue, garrison in the Central Luzon provinces. With the coming of the rainy seasons, ang mga plano ni Primo de Rivera sa katong campaign niya siyahang decree is temporarily halted tungod kay murag rainy season na tong mga panahon. So, let's continue. Before 1897, Aguinaldo and his men had already established a republican government at Biak na Bato. So, for just a month, si Aguinaldo and his men nakakuha na din sila og kanang government sa Biak na Bato, called as Biak na Bato Republic. So, the provision constitution of the republic was prepared by Felix Ferrer and Isabelo Artacho, sabi na siya. So, Artacho lang. So, who copied almost word for word the Cuban Constitution of Jimaguayo. So, the Biak na Bato Constitution was signed on November 1, 1897. So, just almost July, August, September, October. So, just 4 months. So, in just 4 months, the Biak na Bato Constitution was signed. So, its preamble states the separation of the Philippines from the Spanish monarchy and their formation into an independent state with its own government called the Philippine Republic has been the end sought by the revolution and the existing war, begun on the 24th of August 1896, and therefore in its name and by the power delegated by the Filipino people, interpreting faithfully their desires and ambition. We, the representative of the revolution in a meeting of Biak na Bato, November 1, 1897, unanimously adopted the following articles for the Constitution of the state. In according with Article 1, the Supreme Council was created on November 2 with the following as officer: Emilio Aguinaldo as a president, Mariano Triad as the vice president, Antonio Montenegro, Secretary of Foreign Affairs, Isabelo Artacho, Secretary of the Interior, Emiliano Riego de Dios, Secretary of War, Baldomero Aguinaldo, Secretary of Treasury, History of the Filipino People, Teodoro A. Agoncillo. So, by the gabi no, nagkuhan lang sila na kabago-bago lang nagkuhan sa November 1 lang sila nagkuhan tapos November 2 na dayon na buo na din ang ilahang Supreme Council. So, that's all for the report. Thank you for listening, and again, this is Group 6 or Group Purple.